Good afternoon. We are Group 10 and we are presenting today FedEx. My name is Hernandez.
My name is Katelyn Watts.
I am Fionna Mahaffey.
And I'm Bryce Lewis.
Right, so for the company history, FedEx is a company that focuses on multinational deliveries and is based here in the United States. They are best known for overnight shipping and actually pioneered the packing tracking system that lets customers know the real-time updates and location of their package. They were actually the first American company to post 1 billion in revenue without any mergers or acquisitions. They currently operate in 220 countries. FedEx is mostly known to get the revenue from express, ground, and freight shipping. They also include some services that contribute to their revenue as well. So within the industry, as I mentioned previously, they mostly get their revenue from express, ground, and freight shipping. Other services include the packaging and also the Kinkos that they have, where you can actually purchase office supplies and as well printing, copying, and shipping. Some of their top competitors that are mostly known is UPS. At the moment, UPS holds a 36% market, while FedEx only holds a 28%. UPS would be considered a bigger company because they do have twice the number of employees. Both companies operate within the same countries, and mostly UPS got most of their clientele because they actually were established first and then FedEx. Following the other two companies would be DHL and Amazon. DHL is mostly known to be a more global company, and they actually do specialize in e-commerce and supply chain, which does make them a little bit more, have a competitive edge against FedEx. And for Amazon, they've actually just been named a new competitor for the reason that they are actually create their own products and they don't need to outsource to shipping companies because now they actually established their own shipping via Amazon Prime and kind of just eliminated them from, just eliminated the middleman. And the concept that Amazon has, most companies cannot replicate. Next slide, please.
In the face of the global pandemic, many companies and corporations are forced to close their doors and businesses. However, companies like FedEx have become even more necessary as people turn to online shipping and delivery for everyday items. On September 15th, FedEx reported strong first quarter results, which is in contrast to the majority of the other companies today. Frederick W. Smith, FedEx's CEO, stated that our earnings growth underscores the importance of our business initiatives and investments over the last several years, and in many ways, the world has accelerated to meet our strategies. FedEx attributes their first quarter performance to yield improvement opportunities, their strong position in the U.S. and international package and freight markets, and cost management initiatives. On September 21st, FedEx redefined their strategic operating principles to be compete competitively, operate collaboratively, and innovate digitally. They are confident that the best years are ahead of them. Lastly, on December 2nd, FedEx announced that it had agreed to acquire ShopRunner, the e-commerce platform that directly connects brands and merchants with online shoppers. ShopRunner's capabilities will complement and expand the FedEx e-commerce portfolio and are expected to create increased value for brands, merchants, and consumers. Next slide, please. The current stock price as of December 4th is $294.88. The graph on the page illustrates the stock price for the last 5 years up until the end of the second quarter in 2020. As you can see, the stock price has increased significantly in the last couple of months due to high demand from the coronavirus and the arrival of the holidays. As well as you can see, on January 1st, 2020, the stock price was 155.1, which is almost a 100% increase within the span of a year. Next slide, please.
So the first kind of ratios we want to look at today are liquidity ratios. So we're going to be looking at the quick ratio, the current ratio, inventory turnover, and receivables turnover. We also want to compare FedEx to one of its main competitors, UPS, as well as the industry average for the transportation services industry. So the first ratio I want to look at is the current ratio. So we're looking to see FedEx's ability to pay its short-term obligations, like accounts payable. And we can see from the current ratio graph that FedEx has consistently held a current ratio higher than UPS and the industry average, meaning it has more current assets like cash available to pay its short-term obligations. Looking at the quick ratio graph, we can see that again, FedEx is beating both UPS as well as the industry average. So the quick ratio measures a company's ability to pay its current liabilities without needing to sell its inventory or gain additional financing. So the higher the ratio, the better a company's liquidity and financial health. And as we can see from the graph, over the past 5 years, FedEx quick ratio has been decreasing. However, it is still above the industry average. So then looking at the inventory turnover, we can see that from this graph, both FedEx and its competitor UPS are outperforming the industry average. We're looking at the receivables turnover ratio, which measures a company's efficiency at collecting credit sales from its customers. We can see that FedEx is basically falling in line with both its competitor and the industry on its receivables collection rate. Now, looking at profitability ratios, we're going to be looking at the gross profit margin ratio, which is the graph on the leftmost side of the slide. The gross profit margin tells us how much gross profit every dollar of revenue a company is earning. And a higher margin shows that the company is making profit off of its sales. And as we can see from the graph, FedEx is performing better than the industry, but its competitor UPS is actually creating more profit. Next, looking at the operating profit margin on the graph, the operating profit margin graph on the right side of the slide, it shows how much profit a company makes after paying for the variable costs of production, like raw materials. It's showing how efficient a company is at controlling its costs and expenses associated with the business. And we can see that, again, this looks very similar to gross margin, where FedEx is outperforming the industry average, but underperforming compared to its competitor UPS. And then lastly, looking at net profit margin, which shows how much net income a company makes with total sales achieved, which differs from gross profit as it includes all costs, including fixed costs. And we can see here that FedEx has been performing higher than the industry, but then in 2019, it fell below average. Now, looking at ROE and ROA, the return on equity, UPS has an extremely high ROE, and for that reason, I think that this graph is a little bit flawed. But if we look at FedEx compared to the industry, we can see that they are outperforming the general industry average. Looking at ROA, we can see that both FedEx and UPS are outperforming industry average for return on assets. And then finally, looking at some valuation ratios, we can see from this graph of PE that UPS has generally held a higher PE ratio than FedEx, but FedEx has seen an increase in their PE within the last year. And then looking at their price to sales, UPS is doing significantly better than FedEx, with FedEx's PS ratio declining over the past 3 years.
All right, thank you, Fiona, for that. So what I handled was the DuPont formula. So I went in and calculated actually the ROEs, the ROAs, and the ROIC. And the ROA, the average for ROA in percents was about 8.4%, and the high was about 21%. For ROIC, the average in the industry was around 13.2%, and the high was around 21.85%. And for the ROE average industry was around 24.6%, and the high was around 41.89%. So as you see, what I calculated on the right for FedEx were the last 5 years, and we compare that to UPS again for the last 5 years. So I got the information from Bloomberg and calculated myself on the right. And next slide. As you can see on the graph, compared to UPS, FedEx isn't getting as good a return on their money, but as far as the averages go, they still hit their average or above average, which is really good. For UPS in 2019, it hit its average, but or it went below its average, but in 2018 and 2017, it actually hit the average. So it still is good enough for the industry to still be thriving. For ROA, for FedEx compared to the industry, it's a little lower, while the UPS numbers seem to hit the average. Again, for 2018 and 2017, they seem to be a little stronger for FedEx, where they were in the level of average. For ROIC, both companies hit the average, and once again, UPS doubled the average. So it's a crazy dynamic to see that UPS is a little bit bigger business, but FedEx still creates enough revenue for itself to still succeed where they need to go. So next slide. So for our company, we do suggest you to invest from what Daniel, Katie, and Fiona and I relayed to you guys. It just makes more sense to invest in a company, even though the UPS does have big numbers, but FedEx is still doing well as far as the industry goes. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to our PowerPoint and presentation, and thank you again.